Welcome back to Learn SKN, and today we are continuing to look at the January 2022 Principles of Business Paper 2. So we completed question 1 and 2 already, and so we're going to be naturally move to question 3, right? And so before we jump into it, you know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when Learn SKN drops number 4 and 5. Alright, so let's just jump into number 3 one time. All right, define the term public relations. What is public relations? And then we have identified 2 types of public relation activities that are popular in the Caribbean. So what is public relations? Okay, in a nutshell, it's just making the company look good in the public's eye, right? It's all the activities done to make the company look good or have a bright light shown, a positive light shown on the company in the public's eye. So public relations refer to the process and activities used by businesses to build a positive image in the minds of the consumers, the customers, right? So here you are as a business and you want to look good in the public eye. And some ways that they do that is things like sponsorship of activities at the community or national level, such as sports, culture, events, etc. So even in the Caribbean, you know, a lot of companies love to sponsor netball, sponsor a cricket tournament in school, sponsor inter-school championship, you know, that kind of thing. Sponsor a student for Queen show, pageant, whatever. They love to do those kind of things. And of course, the next popular one is scholarship for employees of their children, right? Those are also done in the Caribbean. We also do, here where I'm at, the uniform thing isn't as popular, right? Uniforms provided to members of the staff. Oh yeah, sure, that of course, yes, but to children and stuff like that, it's not really, it comes along with the scholarship package, right? You go to get a scholarship and you get, you know, the shoes, the uniform, the textbooks, all as a part of the sponsorship package. And then of course, provide uniforms to staff so that even before work, they are continuing to promote the business. Okay, good. So that's the next smart way the companies promote themselves. When you see the staff looking nice and sharp, you wonder, who they're working for? You see the brand name, and you know, okay, as a company that cares about how the staff looks, they look presentable in the public, that's how they look good in the public's eye, right? So that's all when we're talking about public relations, PR, right? So that's one way of gaining PR. You know, these are some of the popular ways they do it. So you choose any of those. So 2 types of public relation activities. You choose any of these 2, such as scholarships, uniforms, sponsorship of events, etc., etc. Good. So that's 4 marks, easy like that. Easy 4 marks right there. So let's think about how a company might want themselves to look in the public eye in a positive way and the things they do to get that done. Outline number B. Outline 2 ways in which public relation activities of a firm could benefit communities. Very simple one again. We kind of answer some of it up there, right? So outline 2 ways in which public relation activities of a firm could benefit communities. And so we see where firms can sponsor individuals in the community. That can help, you know, educate, get those who might be a little poor or things like that, get them a proper education. We know where activities of the firm, such as, let's say, adopting a green area, right? So they adopt a green area, nice it up, fence it up, a nice public space, you know, adopt a park, sponsor a park, things like that, make the place look nice, right? They might want to, of course, sponsor the school, right? Sponsor school events. Like I said, the school might want some uniform for a team, sponsor that, help uplift the school, uplift the community. And of course, all these things trickle down to members of the community, because if your school is doing well, you have a nice green area. Some of them install benches and stuff like that, you know, a little park, put on their name on the back of the bench. You've seen it all around, right? You see different companies sponsor different areas. So all that helps the community. So sponsorship helps the community. Students from the community getting scholarship to go to school, that helps the community. Helping the school itself helps the community. Right? So there are a number of things that these companies can do that can benefit the community. And of course, the next one, obvious one, is that it brings recognition to that community. So if you are a company and you're paying for some PR, some advertisement, whatever, some good PR, of course you're going to highlight that environment also, that community also. And so the community is in the spotlight. Because some communities are known by certain companies. Because the company might be the only one in the community. And so when they're promoting themselves and things like that, they also promote the community along with them. So those are ways in which they can, of course, help the various communities that they operate in. And apart from all of that, one other thing I cannot forget is, of course, charitable giving. So some companies would donate to charity, and of course, if they donate to charity, they want their name on a door, on a plaque, somewhere to say, okay, we give to this company, this charity, so that they look good in the eyes of the people, but also they help the community the same way, right? So any of those that we discussed, just think about ways in which companies are giving back that can be beneficial to communities, of course, in a positive way. Because all of us know companies who would sponsor, who would, scholarship, who would do charitable givings, who would have certain events, how's a workshop or something like that to give back to the community, who adopt a green space, a public space, put up the plaques, put up the billboards and stuff like that, put up some bench. We all have seen this around the place, right? We know this. So that's just part of the overall PR effort, the PR machine that these companies are engaged in. So that's B. Let's look at C now. Describe 3 factors that influence consumer behavior. 3 factors that influence consumer behavior. So you're looking at things that would cause you to maybe buy something, not buy it, buy more of it, buy less of it, etc., etc. So you're looking at factors that influence consumer behavior. And so we have a number of factors. Of course, the obvious one would be price, right? The obvious one would be price. Right? So price would influence consumer behavior. So there are the price of the good itself, right? That would influence your behavior. If it's too expensive, then you might not buy it, or you might not buy as much. If it's cheap, you might buy a lot, or you might say, okay, this is a little too cheap, I am buying none because I might be of poor quality. But the price, the way in which you view the price, can definitely influence your behavior as a customer. So to answer that one, if you look at price, you might give examples of whether it is too expensive, so you can't buy as much, too cheap, so you think it might be inferior, just right, whatever. But the price influences your decision as a customer, the price of the good itself, right? And so that's one. Then there's the price of substitutes, right? The price of substitute, meaning the price of something that's similar. So if the price of something that's similar, if it's let's say you're choosing between 2 things, 2 different brands, and you basically feel as though, okay, they might be equal in terms of quality, but the price might make a big difference. So the price of whichever one is cheapest for you, that might be the one you buy, right? So if you have, let's say, Coke and Pepsi, famous examples, you don't mind the taste either way. The Coke is $2, the Pepsi is $3. You say, okay, same buzz, same fizz, same brown drink, I buy the cheaper one for $2. So the price of the substitute good can influence your behavior. Similarly, if you're choosing between butter, margarine, very similar products, whichever one is cheaper, I might go with. Or if you're a big spender, you might say you want a more expensive one. But the point is that the price of the goods would help to affect your behavior towards your purchase decisions. So the price of substitutes. Then you have other factors that might influence the behavior. The quality of the product. You might look at the product and feel it and say, okay, this is inferior, and as such, I'm not going to buy it. Or I bought one before, and it broke easily, I'm not going to buy it. Or I bought one before, and it lasted forever, and so I'll buy it again. So the quality, the features, the durability, those kind of things of the product can determine whether you buy it or not. That can influence your behavior. Should I buy it? Should I not buy it? Should I buy the next one? Things like that. So the quality of the product would, of course, influence your behavior. Of course, you have the taste. Your actual personal taste would influence your behavior as a consumer. If you like something, you buy it. If you don't, you go somewhere else, right? So we're talking about taste literally, as in it tastes sour, it tastes sweet. That might be yes in terms of food, but we're talking about your general taste towards something, like clothing, shoes, some other item. So let's say that you love your rip-up jeans, they're out of style now, your taste change, you're going back to your mom jeans, your dad jeans, whatever. That's your taste changing, right? So those are things that can influence your behavior as a consumer. What you actually like and dislike, your actual taste for certain things can influence your behavior. And then we have tradition, right? Tradition is about cultural norms. If you're accustomed to do something, if you're accustomed to buy something, if you're accustomed to invest in something, then that would influence your behavior as a customer. If you grow up in a home where your mom used to buy a certain brand, then all of a sudden you come as an adult, you realize, wait, I love this brand. Why? Because your mom used to buy it. And so that would influence your decision. Religion, that can influence certain purchases. If you're a meat lover or not, that would influence what you buy. You go to a restaurant, you order something, you're vegan, you're whatever religion, you're a Seventh Adventist, you don't want any pork, whatever, that can influence your decision. So tradition, what you came up with, you might continue with family bond, family tradition, your country. You know, you go to, let's say you go to UE and you look in Jamaica, and if I'm Trinidad, you're looking for some food, you might want some roti or some bus up or something, you might want a curry. So that would influence when you go and try to buy some food, right? So all those traditions can influence your behavior as a customer. And of course, a very big one, your income. Your income would influence your behavior. If you broke, you ain't buy nothing. You flush, high income, you buy everything. Right? Not literally, but you know what I'm saying. Your income. If you're making a good amount of money, that would influence what you buy, how much you buy, that kind of thing. If things tight, you broke, you might reduce your spending on certain things. So your income would be a big player in your decision as a customer. And you have, of course, your spending patterns, right? Your spending patterns. Some of us might be cheap. Some of us might really be frugal, economical as they might say. So that way, you mightn't buy something because you think it's a little expensive, whatever. You know, that's just your way. Or you're accustomed to buy a certain food or whatever, based on how your bills are, you know what you prioritize. So if you see some X amount of money come into play, you say, okay, I'm going to buy this first before I buy that because that's more important. You buy for your children first, whatever. So your spending patterns. So you choose any of those, right? Any of those. There's the last one here, brand loyalty. Brand loyalty, that can influence your behavior as a customer, consumer. Because if you know you had a good experience with a brand, you might want to buy it back again. You buy a phone, a Samsung phone, it lasts you for a good year, you like the features, everything. All of a sudden, you love the Samsung phones, that's your brand in phones, that's all you buy. You ain't taking on iPhone, nothing, right? You might love your Jordans, and so you just stick to your J's, you buy your Jordan 1s, 2, right down to whatever. You love your Jordans, so you stick to that brand. You buy your Jordan top, you buy your Jordan bottom, same thing. You're athlete, you love your Puma, your Nike, you stick to that. You deck out in the brand because you love the brand, it's comfortable for you, and so you stick to it, right? And so all those are factors that would influence your behavior as a consumer. So you choose any tree, see, they ain't too long, 2 marks each, any tree, and you explain how they can influence that. All right, D. Explain 2 ways in which government can protect consumers through its consumer organizations. And that's the last question for this one. 2 ways. Of course, consumers have rights, right? Consumers have rights. And so government have certain organizations like Bureau of Standards and those things that are established to protect your right as a consumer, right? I think the Bureau of Standards. And so those are some of the popular ones in the textbook, the Bureau of Standards, because they would help to, of course, govern certain acts, certain consumer rights and things like that. So that's one example, the Bureau of Standards, right? So the Bureau of Standards is another government agency which serves to protect consumers and business is the Bureau of Standards. And in each country, it will be under the purview of specific government ministries, right? And so you have examples right here. And so they help to establish and maintain and regulate certain laws and rules and things like that, right? So all customers, they have rights. And so those would help to ensure that their rights are not being violated. And of course, we have it right here in our textbook, how the Bureau of Standards and other agencies helps to protect us, right? So they are protected by laws and regulations, but we're looking at government agencies consumer organizations, government agencies. So the Bureau of Standards is one, for sure. You have the Ministry of Consumer Affairs in some countries, right? The Ministry of Legal or Consumer Affairs. That organization would also protect you as the customer, because they would again prosecute those who might be violating your rights and outline some of the injustices out there as it relates to consumer and business relations. So you have monitoring commercial activity to deter adverse trade practices, make sure nobody is deceiving anybody, make sure advertising is not predatory to you, make sure pricing is not predatory to you. And so those are some ways that they protect you. You have the ombudsman. Again, if you have an issue with a government agency as a customer, you go to the ombudsman office, you file a complaint, and they would help you as the customer, right? Because that's part of their job. They help to protect the customer when you're dealing with government entities. So if you go down to a government department and somebody ain't really work with you, you go to the ombudsman, and they should be able to sort out that for you, especially if you're within government also. That would help you, right? So those are ways in which the government can protect consumer through the organizations. So the mandate of the ombudsman, responding to inquiries from the public. You have issues, you go there. Conducting thorough, impartial, and independent investigation of complaints, resolving complaints, provide counseling and referrals to matters not under the purview of the office. So that's the ombudsman's office right there. Right? So you have those are the two big ones. Well, three: Ministry of Consumer Affairs or Ministry of Legal Affairs, the Bureau of Standards, right? Those help protect, especially with food and things like that. If your food ain't good, things like that, you can complain that to them, and they try to sort that out, right? So some of the ways that the legal affairs, as I explained, make sure advertising is right, make sure the activities that are taking part in, the companies are taking part in, make sure those activities are not predatory, right? Conducting continuous field research into consumer needs. In some cases, you might do a little price control, because certain necessities you need as people. And so those are ways that these organizations can help to protect you, the customer, right? And just like that, 20 marks, knock it off, easy. So we completed the number 3 for the January 2022 paper. So again, that's what we're gonna step for now. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you know when Learn SKN drops the rest part of this paper.